Calaroga Shark Media.
David Letterman is on Colbert tonight. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy comedians and the comedy industry, a sentence the algorithm loves. We'll talk about late night in a bit. From Variety, Jeff Ross talked about the real tension behind the roast of Kevin Hart. The roast continues to be the big topic, and that'll get us through this week, and the next week is Colbert Week. A lot going on in comedy. Jeff Ross was asked if anything hurts his feelings, like when somebody says you look like the inside of a clam. The Roastmaster General said, if the joke is funny and well-crafted, it doesn't hurt my feelings. It makes me proud. If the joke flops, then I'm insulted. Like, write a better joke for me. I'm the Roastmaster. If you watch the entire roast, at one point, Kevin was making fun of Jeff, but Jeff was in the bathroom. Jeff said, I was panicking because the bathroom next to my dressing room was locked. I thought I had a time where I could make it back for that part of his speech. Imagine literally peeing while I'm hearing the audience laughing at jokes about me. It was one of the most surreal roast moments of my career. I really did him dirty, and I did apologize after the party. I should have been in my seat, but by the time he and The Rock plugged their tequila brands for the second time, I whispered to Pete Davidson and said, all right, I'm going to go pee. Ross talked about the after party. I think everybody was there. The vibe was over the moon. Kevin seemed like he was on cloud nine. Was there any real tension behind the roast? That's the million-dollar question. Jeff said, the only real tension I felt was when Katt Williams appeared out of nowhere and started going in on Kevin. Kevin definitely looked a little tense, like these guys may not have seen each other for a long time. But Kevin asked for the hatchet to be buried, and immediately the tension turned into celebration. Whose idea was it to bring Katt? Jeff Ross says, Kevin's a great comic, but he's also a really smart producer. He loves to follow the discomfort. If something's making him uncomfortable, it's going to be great TV. I would say it was a group brainstorm of who would be a funny person to bring into this thing, and Katt Williams was game. He came out with a cape like a villain, and he left like a friend. I don't believe they actually talked until he came out on TV. Jeff shared a joke of his that did make it into the roast. He would have told it better, but it goes like this. Kevin, your dad sold crack, and you literally sell everything except crack. From his comedy to his tequila to his chain of vegan fast food restaurants, Kevin is always looking for new ways to make people throw up. Variety says, at least inside the room, Sheryl Underwood crushed, Jeff said. I remember at some point flopping on the floor when she was on. That's how hard I was falling out of my chair. She had one of the best sets of the night. She's a pro. She used to walk on stage with her purse in her hand. We worked such dumps together, she didn't trust the staff or the other comics with her purse in the back. She's the real deal. Good question here by Variety. Where does this roast rank in terms of crossing the line? Jeff Ross said there were definitely some lines crossed. The jokes were super edgy. When Tom Brady came out and started talking about Kevin's personal life right out of the gate, I thought this truly is a revenge roast. That's how I actually approached Tom about it. We were at a party in Las Vegas, and I said, Tom, we got another one percolating. He said, I'm never coming back. Why would I come? And I said, revenge. He goes, who you got? I whispered Kevin Hart, and his next question was when. He needed a reason to come back. Those jokes were super edgy, and I could feel the tension in the room. Even though it was funny, there was a realness to it. I will weigh in here. I think having Tom Brady in the leadoff spot was a mistake. I wrote about this on my Substack, and I think I talked about it earlier in the week. I think the move might have been to open with the shocker of Katt Williams and having confidence in Katt to be funny. I think that would have prepped the room a little bit. Tom just not being a comedian, I don't think warmed up the room well enough, which affected a lot of the first half of the show. When I finally watched the whole thing, I think the second half was a little stronger, mainly because of Tony Hinchcliffe and Katt Williams. So I'm not sure they sequenced this thing right. Variety was curious what was actually off limits. Jeff Ross said, people always ask that. Kevin never once said to me, please don't do this, please don't do that. For me, there's a sportsmanship to it. I want to scratch the skin, but I don't want to break it. Nothing was off limits. I don't think there was a single topic from Kevin's life that didn't get brought up. It's really just a question of how overt you want to be. Do you want to be subtle? Or do you want to smash them over the head with a dollhouse? I don't know. Anybody could look at the roast and call it watered down. Variety did a good job with this. They asked, the show's very tightly produced. There are writers and rehearsals. How do you balance that with the element of surprise? Jeff said, I gave a lot of the credit to my partner, Casey Patterson. She'll put fake names on dressing room signs. The scripts don't circulate to the entire staff. The crew doesn't read the comics material. I don't know what Chelsea's speech is going to be. She doesn't know mine. Kevin doesn't know what's coming from anybody. That keeps it real. You are genuinely messing with somebody live on television. There's a lot that goes into that side of it, and I'm always surprised. Another good follow-up. There were a lot of times when people would skip a joke they had on the teleprompter. What goes into the decision to edit yourself in real time? Jeff Ross said, I'm careful not to let that happen because I hate going skip it. It looks so written. But sometimes in a live show, it's inevitable that people want to improvise, or maybe the joke was too similar to the joke that was made earlier in the night and doesn't seem funny anymore, or sometimes the non-comics get cold feet on a certain joke. Honestly, the most important job in that entire show is probably the teleprompter operators. That's a high-wire act. You get all sorts of deliveries. Some people are mumbling, some are rushing, and those operators stay right with us the whole time. It's remarkable. Two more. Will you be able to get another GOAT in a couple of years? Jeff said, I think so. Kevin doing it opens it up to almost anybody who's at the top of their game, wants to show the world they're a good sport. All right, who do you want to roast next? Jeff said a pop star or a rock star would be great. A rapper would be great. I could see Drake getting roasted being a great one. One of my all-time favorite ideas is Stevie Wonder. I always say the roast of Stevie Wonder, you got to hear it to believe it. Vulture had the headline, how Sheryl Underwood won the roast of Kevin Hart. Despite being one of the least recognizable faces on a dais that included celebrities like Chelsea Handler and Pete Davidson, Underwood had consistently been the target of some of the night's sharpest barbs. Adding to the weight of the moment, Underwood followed Tony Hinchcliffe, but when Underwood got on the podium, the room's atmosphere reset. Her set was a triumph, in part because her energetic delivery injected life into the proceedings after the show had slipped into a monotonous rhythm halfway through its bloated, nearly 3-hour runtime. There are only so many times one can see Handler called a whore or heart marked for his height before it grows tedious. In an event that featured surprise appearances from Venus and Serena Williams, Heart enemy Katt Williams, and The Rock, no one got an ovation like Underwood following her set. Boy, I just looked at the clock. We are going to be long again. I got like 7 stories I've been kicking since Monday. Remind me I said that when it's July 4th week and I'm Googling George Lopez tacos to fill some space. All right, Radar Online is a gossip website. Their headline, Jimmy Kimmel pushing himself out the door at ABC, how caustic comic shot himself in the foot with dead Trump gags. I don't believe this story at all. No offense, Radar Online. One of the reasons I say that is because ABC had Jimmy Kimmel host the Upfronts. But anyway, Radar Online says ABC executives are allegedly reconsidering Jimmy Kimmel's future after backlash over his Melania Trump joke. They remind us that Kimmel repeated the joke on his show and said critics overreacted, and Network Insider said the original joke was already viewed internally as reckless. Doubling down turned it into something potentially costly to the network. They can't be too concerned because they had Jimmy host the Upfronts. Jimmy Kimmel told the Upfronts audience, I didn't think I'd see you guys again either. Yeah, the bad boy of data and measurement solutions is back. I've been through so much BS this year, it actually made me appreciate this BS. You know, usually in order for ABC to pull you off the air, you have to throw a chair at your Mormon boyfriend. Yes, the president tried to get me canceled over the last 6 months. That's one way to look at it. Another way is you could say I've generated unparalleled engagement across a variety of platforms. Luckily, thanks to our partners in Washington, we're up 25% among viewers. It's a big deal to have your numbers go up nowadays. With that said, if Johnny Carson woke up one day with my ratings, he'd have gone straight under the sink and chugged all the Drano. Oh, Kimmel had more. He said, I cost our company a lot of money this year, billions. It's very possible that no employee in the history of any company has cost their employer more than hiring me 24 years ago. Just from a purely mathematical standpoint, it was the worst personnel decision that Disney Corporation has ever made. Not even the captain of the Exxon Valdez did more damage. Jimmy said, this will be the first Super Bowl on ABC in 20 years, and we're going to milk the bejesus out of it. We're going to spend the whole year promoting what's already the most popular thing on earth. And as if the country isn't divided enough, we put the game on Valentine's Day just to be dicks. Let me tell you what the halftime show is going to be this year. The whitest stuff you've ever seen. Goodbye, Bad Bunny. Welcome back, O-Town. Jimmy talked about his appearance on Colbert the other night. As you know, CBS is turning 11:35 p.m. into the least time slot least likely to offend the president with a rerun of Byron Allen's Comics Unleashed from 2007 featuring Paula Poundstone and Andy Dick. Poor Steven. It's bad enough to lose your job. Imagine getting replaced by the owner of the Weather Channel. Sounds like Jimmy was on fire. He said, you know, in the past, I've come here to mock the other network shows. It was all very competitive, but now we're like a bunch of dirty, starving little chihuahuas under the table waiting for a chicken leg to drop. For the first time, I think ever, I'm rooting for CBS. They've got a lot of great returning shows, and they've got some great new shows. NCIS New York answers the question, what if LL Cool J partnered up with another white guy in a different city? They're also doing The Price is Right at night now. Oh, he tagged us with a dirty pun. The Price is Right at night. On the nighttime version, instead of a flat-screen TV, the winner gets something men-like in an alley behind the studio. Naughty, Jimmy. For the first time in 18 years, CBS was not number one in total viewers. NBC is number one, and they're saying they're number one. Are you allowed to brag about being number one when you had the Olympics and the Super Bowl? Only if you have them again next year, and you don't. Meanwhile, poor Fox was in last place again, and their big plan to turn that around is a revival of Baywatch. This is a reboot for those who watched the first 11 seasons of Baywatch and thought, but that can't be the whole story. As for us at ABC, except for all the domestic violence, we're really doing great. Dancing with the Stars is hotter than your grandma's underpants at a Michael Bublé show. The Rookie was among the most streamed shows among viewers under 18. Young people love The Rookie, and do you know why? I'm actually asking, does anyone know why this is happening? Meanwhile, over at NBC, Seth Meyers hosted their Upfronts. Seth Meyers said, we have taken down CBS. Referring to, for the first time in 2 decades, NBC will take the broadcast crown for total viewers in the TV season. He tagged his premise with, well, the Ellisons did, but I like to think we helped. Seriously, what's going on over there? They're so in the pocket for Trump that I heard next year Survivor's in the Strait of Hormuz. Not bad. Seth again. CBS did not hold an Upfront presentation this year because CBS Upfront just describes how they paid Trump to drop the lawsuit. Seth Meyers made fun of Paramount's winning bid to buy Warner Brothers, joking Comcast actually made a bid too, but no one thought we were actually going to get it. It was kind of like that one friend who always pretends to reach for his wallet after the check comes. No, Comcast, you get it next time. So speaking of the merger that would join Paramount Plus and HBO Max, Seth Meyers said, so now you get all your favorites in one place. Speaking of streamers, Comcast said on its most recent earnings call that Peacock is approaching profitability in the same way Kevin Hart is approaching 7 feet tall. But it's an exciting time for Peacock. Season 8 of Love Island USA is set to premiere in June, so please get the HPV vaccine. More Seth. NBC Universal poached Yellowstone creator Taylor Sheridan last year from Paramount in a deal worth a reported $1 billion, which means I'm finally going to get a call from my dad asking, what channel's NBC on? NBC has the Emmys this year. Well, they're airing here. HBO's the one that's actually going to have them. Some more random jokes. I'm Seth Meyers, or as the FCC calls me, Next. Netflix is hosting its Upfront on a pier on the Hudson River because once a Netflix show hits 2 seasons, that's where it dumps its body. NBC is turning 100 years old, which means right now it's watching CBS. James Corden is returning to late night. I know, are you so excited? He was at the Fox Upfronts with Michael Strahan. They announced FIFA World Cup 2026 After Hours on Fox with James Corden. Or as we're going to refer to it, Corden. James Corden, the host of FIFA World Cup 2026 After Hours on Fox with James Corden, said, it's going to be me, former England soccer captain Rio Ferdinand, and one of my favorite comedians on planet Earth, Ian Carmel. Every night after the games, we're going to be trying to have a lighthearted look at the World Cup, talking about the games, talking about anything that may have happened that day. The World Cup takes place June 11th to July 19th in the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. If you live in New Jersey and you want to take the train to the game, because they're not allowing, this is real. This is a big thing in New Jersey. So you can't park at the stadium, okay? You can't take a ride share to the stadium. There's a train. For a while, they were charging $150 for the train. Yeah. And now they've cut that to I think $110 or something. It's still over $100 to go basically a mile and a half, but there's no other way to get to the stadium. I'm so annoyed. The World Cup finally comes to basically my backyard, and there's no way to get there. I might go down to Philadelphia for a game. I digress. James Corden, the host of FIFA World Cup 2026 After Hours on Fox with James Corden, said, soccer is a massive part of my life. It really feels like now is an incredible time for North America to be hosting this tournament, and we're really going to try and have some fun. Michael Strahan asked Corden why he wanted to work for Fox. Corden said, because they got the rights to the games. I can't stress this enough. If they didn't have the rights to the games, I'd do the show on the network that did. Boy, the amount of stuff I'm bumping from this program lately. Let's check in with a friend of the show, Jason Zinoman. He writes for the New York Times. He was out in L.A. and caught John Mulaney and wrote John Mulaney's new hour ranged from kids' birthday parties to sweeping takes on our political mood. I played you that RFK impression the other day. Zinoman writes, there's a sarcastic register in John Mulaney's toolkit that is deepened with age. In his new hour, he's often lingered in this wry voice, building arguments with it, adding absurdity upon absurdity until the ironic distance seems to shrink and his tone became less smirky than coherent and righteous. It's one of the many small miracles of form that explain why John Mulaney is setting the pace in stand-up right now. As a precocious performer, he could seem older than he was, getting laughs of that incongruity. Now he has a distinctive age-appropriate voice as a persnickety, cranky, and aloof dad. Mulaney isn't a topical or personal comic, but he dabbles in both, getting laughs out of hot-take premises like why old people shouldn't vote, quoting Mulaney. Why would you order for the table if you were about to leave the restaurant? But his greatest strength here is as a sharp, hilarious cultural critic. Zinoman also wrote about rising stars at the festival, pointing out they tend to be hungrier, harder working, and funnier. Friend of the show, Jason Zinoman, was impressed by Megan Gailey, who opened for Anthony Jeselnik. Gailey made a case for Charles Barkley as the Democrats' best hope for president, and had a funny joke about men who won't shut up about their colonoscopies, which makes me laugh because I earlier today was at the whatever the colonoscopy doctor is called. My friend called and I texted him back and I'm like, can't talk. And then on the way home, we were talking colonoscopies. So yeah, I feel you, Megan. Zinoman also liked Sophie Buttle at the Hollywood Improv. Jason tells us Sophie waded into a joke that mentioned transgender people, then paused to wonder if it would be amusing if she became as obsessed with the subject as Chappelle is. Her quote, I'm not famous enough to have opinions that crazy, but if I get famous, I'm going to start an even bigger fight with an even smaller group of people. Oh, and we are getting so long today. Let's wrap this up, John. Okay, Heather Shaw has announced her debut special, All Right, See Ya, will come out on YouTube today. In All Right, See Ya, Heather Shaw tackles everything from gay bars and Caitlyn Jenner to pop culture and more. That's Heather Shaw's All Right, See Ya. Out today on YouTube. Friend of the show, Dylan from the Facebook group, has probably watched it twice by the time I even get out of bed. If you'd like this program without commercial interruption, open up the Apple Podcast app, click the banner. It says uninterrupted listening. For $5 a month, you'll get this one and a bunch of others on the network without commercial interruption, as long as you don't listen before 7 a.m., because John has to upload that second version of the show manually. Believe me, I wish it could be automated, but it's a great way to support the show. 30 days free trial. After that, it's $5 a month. So on day 31, when you forget to cancel, I make $5. Actually, I don't, because Apple takes 30%. So that's what, $3.50 left, and then my business partner Mark gets half. So I can make like $1.75, but it's still a great way to support the show. See you tomorrow.